I know I said this was never going to happen, but to be honest, I deserved it to be right. He's less than 3 feet tall. He's shorter than a dropped pallet. How did I know they were going to rebuild an entire skeleton and camera system just for this? It really just leads me to believe that Dead by Daylight is capable of anything unless it's something I actually want. Chucky is a stealth and dash killer whose strength primarily comes from his tiny height, which allows him, frankly, to beat your ass while looking like the goofiest thing since the spring-loaded condom. Also, he's in third person, which, stun-locked me for a whole 30 minutes when I tried to play him. Other people will enjoy this much more than me. Chucky and his dash suit aggressive chase-style players that want to show off their skill, and other people that want to hear Danny DeVito say, "I'm the freaking good guy," every few seconds. I say there were no clues to how this killer was going to come out, but we did just get our first comedy survivor, so it's only fair we get our first comedy killer afterwards. Playing Chucky feels very different to playing other killers. He is a random ball of chaos that runs around the entire map, either laughing or screaming, hitting survivors from angles that they wouldn't expect, not in an Assassin's Creed way, more in a Tom and Jerry way. As you smack him with a pallet and hear him throw obscenities at you like for a moment you two understood each other. And he has every right to be mad, since that thing is like 5 times his weight. I'm going to get into the power, but first, it's time for today's sponsor. This video is sponsored by Star Trek Fleet Command, an MMO set in the Star Trek universe. All of the universes, actually. The original, The Next Generation, J.J. Abrams films, Star Trek Discovery, and oh god, if there are more of them, I don't want to know. Use famous characters from the series like Kirk, Spock, and Data, and pilot their ships like the famous USS Enterprise. Join millions of players, forge alliances, defeat your enemies, and conquer territories. Choose your faction and explore new worlds on intergalactic missions. And thankfully, they put it on your computer so that you can play it while doing all of your taxes and whatever fun things you do online. It's the game's 5th anniversary, so they're doing a special promotion for new players. Download Star Trek Fleet Command using the link in my description to unlock 10 epic shards for the classic James T. Kirk. Once downloaded, go to the official Star Trek Fleet Command website, go to the store, and access the promo codes, then enter Warp Speed. So what are you waiting for? Join Star Trek Fleet Command's 5th anniversary. Thank you again to Star Trek Fleet Command for sponsoring this video. Pressing the power activates Hidey-Ho mode. That is the only time I will repeat those words. If you can't bring a proper name to the table, then I'm not going to say it. If you press the button for 30 seconds, you are in stealth mode, which has a couple of properties. First of all, you have no terror radius. That's right, my naming convention is much more accurate. This is followed up by causing fake footsteps to pop up around all survivors, regardless of distance, faking them out and causing them to doubt your real footsteps. He can also now scamper under pallets, a very fast interaction that doesn't break them, but will let you get a ton of hits that you probably shouldn't. Lastly, Chucky gains access to an attack called Slice and Dice, which is almost as bad as the other name, but we don't double dip at this party. Slice and Dice can be comboed and extended by hitting a pallet or window, which will cause him to scamper through it. It is vaguely amusing. The key thing is that Slice and Dice also obeys a certain law of physics where, if you look down, you can wrap around an object like a rubber band and end up straight on my Twitter feed. This can be helpful for ambushing people on objectives or to catch a W key gamer at the right moment. Stealth mode is quite interesting compared to other stealth killers in that it has no wind-up time. You press the button and it instantly happens. Meanwhile, the Wraith has to sit in Dorado spawn. It's going to seem tempting, but try not to spam the stealth mode during a chase. Save it for when a survivor will drop a pallet for you to scamper under, or when they lose direct sight with you. As without this, you are much weaker in a chase. The game calls him an elusive killer, but in reality his power comes from the fact that he's very tiny. Chucky is a total nightmare in stealth mode because you lose access to his stain, and since the guy himself is the size of a Roomba with a bad haircut, he's going to hit you from quick corners and angles. It's probably why he's the first killer they've made 110% speed since the Trickster. Sorry, since the Death Slinger. I picked a real bad gamble there, huh? Chucky also has what are lovingly referred to as Chuck spots. Since Mr.
I have a date with a 6-year-old boy
over here is in third person, he can see you around angles that you can't see him at yet. So if you lose sight of the guy and you start running around, there's a chance you might be strolling right towards him. And I just know this guy's going to be considered a nightmare for a good amount of people once they realize that check spots are a thing. Now they'll complain about the third-person camera like I'm having a great fucking time. Putting Chucky in third person has made me the closest thing Dead by Daylight will ever have to an internet Italian. I see this point of view and it's the same thing as putting sauce on the pasta instead of pasta in the sauce. And it's not something I can say is bad, but I can say it's something I hate. Like an ant crawling up my arm. It isn't going to kill me, but it's skeeving me out. But discomfort doesn't mean it shouldn't be this way. The alternative would have been putting us in the point of view of a lawnmower. I'm gonna skip his add-ons because I have a Five Nights at Freddy's video to do. Though I will get into Chucky's perks because I really like them. Hex, 2 can play, activates when you get personally insulted twice. Next time they try to flashlight, blind, or stun you, a totem gets lit, and now they've become blinded for 1.5 seconds. And how long is that? Not very. It's niche because the blind on survivors is so fast that it really won't make an impact. I'm going to give it a try on Trickster since the blindness might give him some free knife hits. If he needs them. Based on the rework he's getting, based on what I had written, I had wanted him to get a rework, but the Dark Presence had beaten me to it, twisting my words into something monstrous and terrible. Just as an aside, I wouldn't call this a Trickster rework. Any more than putting your favorite song on the radio and turning up the volume until it hurts counts as a remix. Friends to the End is a bit more bizarre. How it works is when you hook someone who isn't the obsession is made exposed for a bit while also revealing their aura. If you hook the obsession, it randomly makes someone else the obsession but does not trigger the effect. Listen, this is your chance. Some guy is sitting at his desk. They are a fan of running Nemesis. This might be the first real perk combo you've had since Furtive Chase. Batteries included is very simple. When near a completed generator, you get a 5% haste. You keep this boost for a few seconds. The perk will be usable in the next hotfix. Someone at Behavior decided to nerf the perk for Noed because we love sacrificing new ideas for ancient ones that everyone already hates. They obviously lost some Reddit karma and undid that in the next patch. For perks I like on Chucky, there are some interesting ones. Hubris activates when a survivor stuns you with a pallet, making them exposed for 20 seconds. Many killers can't do much with this since you get stunned, then break the pallet, and they're running away. Here you get hit, curse them out, then scamper under the pallet to try to make them pay. Dead Man Switch activates when you hook a survivor. For the next 45 seconds, anyone who hops off a generator will cause it to become blocked. Since stealth mode causes fake footsteps to constantly rain around everybody, you are going to cause a certain degree of anxiety that they're not ready for. Also, just because I called attention to the Deathslinger, I wrote a comic about him. You could check the community posts board, or just pause this video, or check the link in the description. Hysteria might seem like an odd pick, but hear me out. Hysteria causes injured survivors to become oblivious for 30 seconds when you injure a new survivor. Since you know exactly how much time in stealth you have, you can artificially increase the time survivors lose your heartbeat by timing these in coordination with their cooldowns. I found decent success with this on indoor maps. And if that's too much, I'm sure you can always just put on pain resonance like you were going to anyway. Lastly, there's Starstruck. Starstruck activates when you pick up a survivor. Anyone who hears your terror radius while carrying them will become exposed for 30 seconds. So, you hook someone and instantly hide. Now anyone who wants to save your victim has a total new level of fear to put up with, as some sniveling goblin is running around looking for free one-shots. Because of that, I'm inclined to say they've nailed the character of Chucky pretty well. He essentially forces people to play in tricky ways because, without them, the killer isn't fast enough to get the work done. As a survivor, you have to look around in a very different kind of way, checking tiny corners and making speedy getaways, rather than biding your time as you see the monster looming in the distance. At the end of the day though, I think this is probably the best spot the game has ever been in. Things go up and down, but we've gotten a lot of ups lately. Stranger Things finally awoke from its coma, we got our first new Mori cosmetic, there are still dozens of games, movies, and projects on the way. Like, everyone's always talking about how they miss the old DBD. In a couple of years, I have a feeling that the goalpost will be moved here. Like, yeah, it's not what I was expecting. Not by a mile. Then again, it's not something the devs were expecting either.
And, you know, some folks said it couldn't be done. We even said it couldn't be done at some point.
I have officially accepted that trying to guess Dead by Daylight's new license is impossible. Everyone was like, the Five Nights at Freddy's movie just dropped. If it was ever going to come, it would have to be this one. Or Mortal Kombat is hot in the news and has so much in common with Dead by Daylight. Or they just did a collab with Disney. Predator had to have been a part of that deal. Then it's just like, Chucky, haha. So when you're laying on the ground, slugged, as Chucky runs around telling you how he's the good guy, or you sit there in the 10-minute killer queue, recall that whatever anger you have, this is what you're gonna miss. You're living in the old DBD. In a year from now, maybe we'll be under an oppressive regime from some perk that didn't get proper oversight. So while you sit there, just think to yourself, Robbie wasn't crazy. He really does sound like Danny DeVito. Hey, thanks for watching. I apologize if this is somewhat shorter than what you were expecting. I'm juggling a lot of stuff at the same time. If you're curious about any of them, I've uploaded some works in progress to Patreon. Speaking of which, I'd like to thank some of the people who helped make this video possible. I would especially like to thank Eric Bloom, Jonah Simpson, Daniel Askew, Coldeneye 1, Colorado Ranger, Anthony R. Chambers, Ethan A., Ethan Blow, My Reed, Pyrozine, Mario Fan 997, Mr. Macaroni Man, Sturmfetter, Sparkbolt 120, and Rec Ren. Hope to see you guys sometime soon with the next video. Take care of yourselves and have a good rest of your day. And yes, I know he's actually voiced by Brad Dourif.